Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast for our conference, the Pinpoints of Light Childhood Awareness and Sexual Abuse Awareness Healing Conference. Thank you so much for joining us and being here tonight, all gathered together. There is a time for this conference to really start, and I wanted to share with you kind of a little bit of the business that's happening right before we kind of plunge on into the topic this evening. So first of all, I wanted to congratulate and make sure that I do a big shout out to our three sponsors this evening: House of Redeeming Love, also End Can, and finally Susie Q's Kids, giving one comfort bag to a child at a time. Now, this comfort that we have is something that's really, really important because it's found through healing, right? And as we heal, life can really, help so many things. And so we have, Mary wants me to make an announcement. She says that if the guests have not received the emails from her, right, please add any of your emails down here, or you can PM them to Mary. We want to make sure that those who have the tickets have received the speaker, what we call like the speaker pages, where it has the summary of everyone's speaking, and those are from a paid ticket. So we'd really like you to be able to put your information down and share it with Mary if you have not been getting these emails. Thank you, Mary, for kind of letting us know what's going on. Now, I have my guest. She's coming in, and she is one amazing busy woman. She has just finished doing some coaching with her groups this evening. And so I wanted to make sure that, we get all this business out of the way so she could take a breath, maybe take a drink of water before we jump on into this amazing program this evening. So we have this lovely, amazing book from our speaker tonight, Miss Cecilia Tement. And if I could, I would. And this is her book about how she made it through, the childhood abuse that she suffered from and how things can be transformed. If you can see on the ticker running down beneath us there, how your pain of abuse and feelings from the past can be transformed, right? That anger you have can be transformed into love. And so we have a winner for this evening. Our winner for this is going to be announced as we go through, kind of as a pop-up for this evening, because this one's going to be very special. We want to give that out. Our next is Pinpoints of Light, Escaping the Abyss of Abuse. And these two books tonight will be donated, and I'm so excited to be able to give them to my dear friend, Leslie Edwards. She's here in Texas, and she knows of a place that's probably very special to her. So I'm going to donate these to her this evening. And since we're basically neighbors, then she's going to be able to go and deliver them to the shelter. So I'm so excited for her to get these books right here. Next, of course, we have Dr. Mary's books, all four here this evening. So the complete set is going to the winner tonight is Paula Schlutz. Paula Schlutz. We're so excited for you to have these amazing books, and we will be getting those all to you. All books and everything throughout this entire conference will be mailed out on May the 1st. Next winner we have, and these were graciously donated from Miss Jean Dart, and Oinkerific Day, as well as, so this is the activity book, and this is the Barnyard Adventure. And so we're going to be giving this away as a set to Miss Rachel Hendrickson. Rachel Hendrickson. So congratulations, Rachel. Fantastic. Super excited. And we have 2 copies of Oscar the Mouse by Sam Baker. And the winner tonight of this is Jean Abreu. I don't know if I've said that last name right, but A-B-R-E-U. Woo! Spelling at the end of the night, where I'm a public speaker and not a public speller. Yeah, there we go. So congratulations for winning Sam's book. Jean, we're so excited for you. And you get 2 copies. So you can share one of these with somebody that you love, donate it, and congratulations to all the winners this evening. And again, we'll be reaching out to you, and all of the information and everything and all the books will be mailed out by May the 1st. So let's get back on in here, and I'm going to bring my guest now that kind of some of the business is over with. Get all of these stacked correctly so I can grab her book right off the top, right? Thank you, everybody, for coming, for popping in here. Yes, so exciting, so excited for everything. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for popping in here live. It looks like we've got more people here, so I think we're going to be bringing on Miss Cecilia tonight. There she is, loud and proud.
Hi!
Yay!
Yay! So nice to be on here tonight, April. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome on in, and everybody pop on in. Let us know where you're from. Tell us where you're seeing this live, because we want to be able to share it out for everyone, because Cecilia's message this evening is going to be something that's really transformative. And in healing, transformations really happen. It takes time, though. But I think the biggest emphasis of the entire conference over these past 7 days, scattered through the month of April, has been, you're not alone in your healing journey. Please know that we understand it's tough. We understand that it can be a little bit daunting, but we're here. And Miss Cecilia, she has a lot of amazing things, because she has experienced the depths of it, and she's experienced the absolute highs of things. I mean, talk about, I don't know, do we say a Cinderella story of abuse? I mean, I guess it could kind of go into that, right? And we can laugh about it because of the change that she's going to share with us this evening. So, Cecilia, the floor is yours, and I'm here to support you the best that I can.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here, April, and for all the amazing work that you're doing to really bring attention and light to the issues of domestic violence, of child abuse, of sexual child abuse. At the end of the day, I think it's on all of us to connect with the cause and be able to know that these things are so important, that we need to talk about them, that we need to be able to actually speak out loud what our truths are, so that we can support people in their healing journey. And the truth is, I still heal every day. There's still days when I cry. There's still days when I feel broken down. There's still days when I sit in my darkness. But what I know now is that my light is so bright and so powerful. My self-love is so massive that I can always, always pull myself out of the dark. And so I'm really honored to be here. My story is one where I began when I was a young child. And I was abused physically, emotionally, and verbally by my father, as was my mother and my brother. And, it really was like 1970s, 1980s, and growing up as an immigrant family in Canada, there were a lot of challenges. And at the end of the day, my dad tried very hard to make a living. And in trying to make that living, he got into real estate. And as a real estate agent, there were a lot of pressures, financial pressures, and part of what ended up happening is he became caught up in the idea of making money and trying to support the family. And that turned into anger. That turned into anger. It turned into not enoughness. And from that not enoughness came the pain of, expressing his anger on his children and on his wife. And so as I was growing up, it was a very angry home. My mom did her best to try and placate the situation and help. But I really grew up around yelling and hitting and punching. And, it was an extremely confusing time for me, because I wanted my dad to love me. And even though he did, he didn't know how to always show it. So I think the confusion for children who go through abuse is, you so desperately want your parents to love you. You so desperately want them to feel good about who you are. And when you are given mixed messages of love and abuse at the same time, it becomes even more challenging, because then you don't know how to feel. And I think that really stayed with me, So a lot of the abuse happened when I was younger. I remember an incident when I was 8 years old. This is the one that's depicted in the book. But, I put together a puppet show. There were these boxes with very expensive vases from China, and I pushed the boxes together. And I was so excited. My mom and dad came home. I was ready to put on this beautiful show for them. and he freaked out. He yelled, he screamed, he was so upset. My mom tried to defend me. So he lunged to hit her, and I put myself as a wall in between. I pushed him back, and he punched a hole in the wall instead. And so I always remember the hole in that wall just sitting there glaring at me every day. And at 8 years old, I thought to myself, you know, what can I do to make this better? What did I do wrong? How did I cause this dissension? And, I started to realize, like, it's got to be me. It must be me. I must have been a bad girl. I must have misbehaved. I must have caused this. And so the abuse continued from 8 to 14. And at 14 years old is when, my parents, my dad moved to Hong Kong, was on business. They ended up getting divorced. But here's the thing. I still played over the incidents in my head over and over again for the rest of my life until I was 40. So imagine, my first remembrance of the first incident of abuse was 8 years old, and I was 40 before I stopped thinking about it. And that really, in many ways, it tanked my life. It tanked my life because I thought that I was worth nothing. I sought out and created toxic situations with toxic people because I was hoping that one day I would get a narcissist to love me. It's what I wanted more than anything. I lied, I manipulated, I hurt myself, I hurt other people. And we always say, hurt people. So I bled all over everyone around me, including myself. And so that was the hardship of what I went through. So basically from there, I had a nervous breakdown, and it was awful. And I was suicidal, depressed, anxious, and I could barely get off the couch. And my children and my husband saw me, and I remember there was one day my husband actually said, he's like, I just want my wife back. But the truth is, I had never been myself. I didn't know who I was. And so it was after a year of therapy, my best friend dying, and confronting my abusive father, that everything changed dramatically. And from there, I released the pain of my unforgiveness. The same day that I confronted my dad was the same day my best friend was killed. So that was jarring in and of itself. 3 weeks later, I lost my job. Everything was crumbling around me, but at the same time, it was rebuilding. And so at that point, I had said to him, I said to my father, either you change or I'm gone. Either you let me know that you're sorry genuinely, and then you can acknowledge the abuse and the violence happened, or me and the kids and everybody, you'll never see your grandkids again. We're done. And I said to him, I go, I'll know if you're lying. I'll know if you're not sincere. I'll know if you don't mean what you say. And at that moment, he released all of his denial, and we reconciled from a place of complete forgiveness. And when I found out my friend had passed, after that, I just said to myself, life is too short. I cannot sit here in the pain any longer, in the depression any longer. I cannot allow this to ruin me. So I rose up and I decided that it was time. It was time for me to reconnect with myself, with my heart. And I said, I'm going to do something with my life. I have to do something with my life. So I decided from there I was going to be a coach, a life coach, upon suggestion of a very dear friend of mine. And I took my pain and I turned it into progress. And I published a book, the children's book that you saw. And in the back, I decided to show the book to my dad. My father wrote a letter in the back. And in that letter, he talks about the importance of parents not harming or hurting their children. He acknowledges what he did. And that changed my entire life. It changed his life. And so now I only operate on the level of love. And, I do everything that I can to shift people powerfully, to shift myself powerfully, and to live from a place of genuine love and hope. Um, and uh, and that's what I do every single day. So there you go. There's my big long spiel, April. Thank you, Mary, for that comment, and Darcy.
It's when you're in that flow of story, we don't want to have the interruptions. And so thank you, because I think, I don't know, you seem to be very similar to your dad, even physically. And, sometimes as parents, as you're a parent and I'm a parent, we understand now what that kind of stress of life can do. I would say, I will be the first to admit, I have several holes in walls. I'm a kicker. I'm like, and
Yeah.
boom goes the wall. And I have learned how to patch a wall or two. It just becomes too much, not at the kid, at life and the situation. And the release happens. And as soon as it happens, you feel, for me, I feel so dumb. You feel so childish. You're like, oh, well, I was about as awesome as a 2-year-old. And, then you're like shaming yourself and all of that.
Yeah.
But with time, I kick a lot less now. And, because you do connect. I love what you said, is that you work from a place of love.
Yeah.
And I think that part, I would say it's a perspective, probably. Not a lot of people think about that phrase or that permission. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I could actually work from a place of love and not just kind of hope that it sprinkles on me one day. Wait, this is actual, like, I could take action. I can make a decision
Yeah.
to have that happen.
Yeah.
What
Absolutely.
power with that. Share with us a little bit about when you make a decision like that, how things actually change.
I think I was consistently making choices that were based out of anger and not enoughness. And so, because I was not enough, I was deciding to do things that were harmful to myself and to others. Whereas now that I come from a consistent place of love, I'm always asking myself, what can I do that is in my highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of the person in front of me? So I only think to myself, is what I'm about to say the most loving thing? Is what I'm about to say the most kind thing? Is what am I about to say the least destructive way of communicating what I need to communicate? Because if it's not, I'm going to bite my tongue, and I don't even feel like that anymore, where I have that desire to be destructive. Like, I genuinely believe that if we can come away from the idea of criticism and condemnation and judgment of each other and ourselves, we're going to live in a better world. And that's what we need right now, especially during these dark times where there's so many challenges out there. There's so much stress. There's so much, dissension among people. Like, what can we do to change the world? We can only change it with the power of love. It is the one force that heals all and connects all and brings us back to our true hearts. So for me, that's the only way. When I started to love myself, everything in my life changed. Everything.
Giving yourself that love, did it feel a little awkward at first? Did it feel genuine? Was it strange? Did you say in the mirror, I love you, Cecilia? Did you kind of smirk after, where you're like, no, I'm okay, gonna be serious again. I'm gonna try it again. Like, how was the process of doing this?
I cried. I continued to beat myself up while I was saying I was loving myself. I had to practice. I had to practice at the love. I had to practice at feeling good about loving myself until it felt natural, until it felt like breathing. And, yeah, you're going to feel like an imposter, for sure you are. Your body's not used to it. Your mind is not used to it. You've been conditioned to self-hate and self-reject. But how beautiful is it when we can take a meaningful pause and take a breath and a beat and say, is this really how I want to feel? Do I really want to hate myself? Do I really want to put my energy there? And eventually I just stopped giving in to the idea that I had to beat myself up. Like, part of it is I really did not feel that I deserved any goodness or joy or hope or love. So I denied myself that, and now it's just so different because I relish in it. And I say this often, but it's so true. Now that I'm woke, I cannot go back to sleep. I can't do it.
And when we can't go backwards, the only movement is forward. And it's beautiful because it's new every day. Can be a little, I'll say fearful or scary, but it's just a little, because ultimately, don't you feel this wave of energy, of love, of power that's this is a sign for encouragement and motivation.
Yeah.
I love it. It's that same kind of feeling, like, come on, you can do it. And when we think about that, it's beautiful. So you said something really key, that we are conditioned to self-hate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm okay, as a mom of 9, I'm going back to babies. Okay. Looking at my babies, and in the hospital, it's like, hi, we're here. Wow, I get to finally see you and be with you. And, they're looking around and they're like, this is a trip. You're like, I know, it's great. And you just have this idea of love, and, they're perfect moments like that. And then, life happens, a little bit of stress, but then you get back to this, like, oh yeah, this is so much better. Okay. Love, these kinds of things. And where does it start to change? I don't think it's a specific pinpointing time, but
Yes.
there is that change. And it's not to say, let's identify that and then block it from our lives, but let's identify the awareness to say, oh, well, hang on. I was teaching how to hate someone there. Have you ever been with your kids and they're doing something, and you're busy and you're listening to the conversation going back and forth, and they'll say something and you're like, hang on. And like an immediate teaching moment is right there to, I would say, back it up a minute, ask some
Yeah.
questions,
I
find
think
out
we're a
what they're
little frozen,
feeling.
so I lost a little bit.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Are we coming back?
Sorry. It's okay. I
Okay.
heard not a lot of that. So give me the quick version of that question.
The quick of this is how do we interrupt that self-hate teaching? How do we interrupt it?
You know what? I think it has to be a group effort, honestly, because you can't do it alone. You need people who understand that concept of self-love to guide you. Like, and whether that is a coach or a friend or somebody you trust and love, because at the end of the day, sometimes it is that the self-hate is so conditioned that you're like, you don't even realize you're doing it. You don't even see it, and I have days. I have days, like I was saying, that's the truth, and I think that, I think it is literally just, once you have the awareness, is bringing attention to looking at yourself in that moment and saying, is this really true? Or is this something that someone else has told me or I've bought into? Or is it something that I've told myself? And then I kind of look at it, and, I ask people to give self-hate or, anxiety or fear a persona, a face, a character, and then you got to kind of talk to it and go, listen, self-hate, I see you there. I see what you're trying to do. I understand where it's coming from. I acknowledge you, but I would rather acknowledge myself. I want to see myself even more. Right. And so when you can kind of talk to your emotions, give them space and grace, then it sort of takes the fire out of them a little bit, and it lets you sort of think once and twice and maybe 3 times before you decide you're going to hurt yourself again with your words. And so now in my mind, it's like, can I take a second to drop into my heart space and really ask myself if what I'm about to do is going to build me up or break me down? And if it's breaking me down, I pause. And in that 1, 2, 3 seconds that you take, you can hold yourself. You can give yourself that self-love, that self-compassion, that self-soothing, to say, it's okay. You can be safe to love yourself now. It's okay to love yourself. It's freeing, So I like I said, I just think it takes practice, patience, and time. It's not overnight. I still work on myself every single day because I have to.
Yeah, I like the concept that really it is the journey and it is the process. And I think the awareness and the acceptance of that is coming more and more. I think gone are many of the days of where's the fix? If I do these top 5 things, then I'm done, I'm free. And it's okay if you have to get started that way. We all have to start the journey. Our entrance points onto this journey are whatever. But once you're here, please continue forward. And if you continue to hear truth and you feel that light, keep following it. Keep going towards it, because you will find probably deeper ways of forgiveness. You'll find deeper ways to forgive yourself. You will pause more before you start a self-hate,
A
speech and
tirade.
debate. Like, just put that down for a minute,
Yeah.
and sometimes a distraction of humor can really just throw you off, like, oh yeah, I don't know if I've laughed today. And just something where it sometimes, especially in this topic, and I don't mean to make light of this, but sometimes we are so serious, we have to we just kind of have to say, yeah, okay, but there was something funny today, and just kind of roll with it, right?
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a new friend of mine, and we were doing a podcast, and she's like, I am laughing my butt off because you're making domestic violence not this crazy. I'm not depressed after interviewing you. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so like crazy. And I said, it's perspective and time. If this would have been 2 weeks after, no, I'm not there. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's a progression from that victimhood, from survivor to thriver, to, where we've got this whole thing of just really being an amplifier. For some people, then they take it on and become a warrior and help and protect. Yeah. Great, wonderful. Just keep the process going. So, it's a great thing. Great thing.
And getting used to the idea of laughing and being joyful and being happy and smiling and knowing that that's okay. Like, that's actually like one of the biggest things. Like, I used to never smile and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even see it. Right. So now it's like getting the opportunity to completely lean into myself and be okay with that. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, I can genuinely smile from the deepest part of me and know that it's genuine, that it feels natural.
It does. And I love your laughter. It's continuous, especially when you're addressing so many of us, and it's catching, and I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Laughter is catching, everyone.
It is.
Laughter is catching.
So true.
Yes, yeah, it is. So when you wrote this letter to your dad, and I just have to smile at this. I think it is just so beautiful, because so many that have been through abuse, unfortunately, don't get to have this reconciliation, but you did. And so it gives hope. And, whether it can happen within your lifetime or not, it's okay. Yeah. There's a part of you that you can, let go. Like some friends who abusers have, it's been now a decade or two afterwards, and they might have passed. They might have passed away. And we might not have had that moment where we're thinking, I don't know, we're going with the Hollywood thing. Like, we're thinking of this time when we can just let them know. And then they've passed on. And then you think, oh, I can hold on to this more. No, sister, just let it go. I'll sing you the song. Let it go, let it go. Let it go. Right? just let it go. So, and I know it's kind of funny to say that, but really, some of the simple advice is just like that. Why? Yeah. Okay, there are times in my life where I literally am holding on to so many things. Yes. My hand is cramped around it, and I'm like, just drop it. I'm like, okay, no, just let it go. I have to remind myself. Yeah. I'll walk around holding something. I'm like, why am I holding this? Like, put it down. Like, it's so bizarre, but that's how it goes sometimes.
It does. There's my dog. Do you want to say goodnight, sweetie? You want to come say hi?
Hello.
Give me a kiss. Come say hello. This is my daughter, Sabrina. Hello.
Hello, Sabrina. It is
She's
nice
coming
to
kiss
you.
me goodnight. Good night, baby. I love you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
It's so
Yep, I
great.
agree. We love Cecilia's laugh. We love it.
Aw, thank you, Lori. Thank you, sweetheart. What a doll.
We love it. Love it. So, what would you like to share with anyone through, what are some of the steps? I know you shared this in some of the speaker guides that went out and mailed out. What are some of those top 5 things that will help give us reminders so that we can start our healing journey?
I think that just, knowing that it's okay to have your feelings. I think being able to own that there's going to be different times when you're going to feel amazing and times when you're not going to feel great. And that it's okay to feel that way, that you're still on your way somewhere. And that even if they feel like baby steps, lots of baby steps turn into big steps, right? So that's one thing. Another thing I would say, which is so important, you guys, so, so important, is when you hear that awful voice in your head that puts you down, I want you to ask yourself, whose voice are you hearing? Because we weren't created that way. So if we're hearing someone else's voice, does that voice have to hold weight and water in your life? Or can you release it and let it go and not give it the same presence that it used to have? And the next thing that I think is so key, this was a really big one for me, you guys. I had to stop attaching my self-worth to how somebody else treated me. I had to stop. I had to look around and say, where am I tying my self-esteem to somebody else? And then I had to very gently cut that cord and say, time for me to focus on me. Boundaries is a huge one. I had to learn to say no. I was such a yes person that I would always sacrifice myself for everyone else. I wouldn't honor my feelings, what I wanted. I would literally go to the ends of the earth to do something for somebody else. And while I still have that quality, I now know that I don't have to lay down and allow people to walk over me any longer. I can stand strong and be assertive and use my voice. And I think the last thing, honestly, is like, just value the fact that you have this gift of life, that you are a human being with human feelings, and you have a choice in this moment to say to yourself, what can I do to show love, to be of love, to give love? What can I do? Because now that's, like I said, that's my everyday language. How did I turn anger into love? I turned that same fuel that I used to kind of sit in the yuckiness of it. And I decided I was going to use all that effort that I put into beating myself up and being angry. And I was going to transform it into beautiful butterflies, And so everything that I used to put into beating myself up, I now use into building myself up and building up other people. And that's it. That's it. That's what changed my life. And I hope that it changes yours too. I mean, if you are hurting and you need healing, reach out to someone, talk to me, talk to April, any of the other beautiful speakers at this conference. Just know that you are not alone. And there's nothing that you can't do, because you were made for goodness and for greatness. So hold yourself in grace and know that you're special.
Yes. So special, so good, so unique, so loved. Just that idea of coming back to what can I do to shower that love. And I think getting used to the habit and sharing out. I know sometimes I have a few kids that are a little bit concerned or worried about, like, I want to hug and love them and they're not ready. So
Yeah.
I will stand, and give them their space and say, I want you to know I want to embrace and love you right now and just give you a hug. If I have that permission, I will step in. If not, I just needed to let you know that I'm standing here looking at you, hoping that I can. And when you're ready, know that I will do my best, And so, like, it has to be a conversation. And these are habit
Yeah.
building tough stuff.
It does.
Because, you can take it the other way, like, I've done everything and I made all this dinner and no one appreciates. I mean, you can go, you have that choice.
You can't personalize it. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, you cannot personalize or internalize, because when you do that, you totally wreck yourself before, you know what I mean? Like, there's no point. Like, you can't, if everything is so personal in an egocentric way, then you will never grow past yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not the point. That's not the point. You have to realize that everybody is coming with the information that they have, the experiences that they have, and you cannot control someone else's actions. You only have favor with yourself. So if you're able to look at yourself and say, you know what, enough is enough. No more of this nonsense. I'm going to stand up strong, and I'm going to show myself that I'm worthy of this fight, that I'm worthy of trying, And once you do that, everything changes for you. I promise you. Like, I have had so many people that I have helped and supported, but you know what it is? They finally figured out how to help and support themselves. Like, I don't have a magic potion or a magic wand or anything like that. What I do have is ultimate compassion and unconditional love. Oh, you have a wand? That's awesome. Like, unconditional. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Harry Potter, love it. And there you go. It is magic. Love is magical, right? When you realize that there is no limit to love, that's when your life begins again. It really does. So, I hope that for everybody. I really do.
I agree. That whole concept, love is there. I think it's why it's such a short word, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to stumble over it. We won't know how to pronounce it. No, you got it. It's right here. And it just takes the starting time for it. And it can feel like magic. And, since you brought up Harry Potter and I, kind of finished with it a little bit, I hear this all the time. So, okay. Indulge me on my tangent for just a minute. Okay. So I adore the Harry Potter books, all those kinds of things. But it's because of the wisdom of Dumbledore, right? Where, talk about the opposition, right? We've got Tom Riddle, who is Voldemort, and he's always mocking that whole concept of love.
Yeah.
But because he was never loved, he can never understand it.
Yes.
And so he doesn't decide to research and figure it out. And, Dumbledore's always responsible. Sorry, guys, it's just love. I just hate to tell you again, that's just what it is. It's so simple. So one time, as I was listening to this, and I was like, okay, is it really that simple? And this was just following. I had been out of abuse for about 18 months. And I would sit in my car and listen to this during our commutes. And my poor kids, they're like, again, Mom. I'm like, yeah, okay, gotta listen. So I was listening. And when I would come to this point, and as he gives this thing, I really started to question and ask, like, do I really know what joy is? I can survive anything. But what if I just tried to feel some joy? Well, to feel some joy, I guess it's going to take love. What does that mean? I mean, I love my kids and I'm going to provide, but there was something that was tugging me a little bit further. So it's interesting that a character from a fictional book really started to get me thinking, because he was safe. He was very safe to attach to and to think and to have some conversations with Mr. Dumbledore. I mean, I'm not saying that I totally did that every single day, but I'm just saying it started to put a few ideas in my head. And then as I would take it with faith, light bulbs, I was like, like it was hitting me. And there was this time that it was around Christmas, and we had gotten free tickets to go see the Nutcracker during the Christmas season. My kids' first time has ever experienced the ballet. They've never had that opportunity before. 5 kids, 3 boys, 2 girls watching this. And afterwards, I'm a Christmas music fanatic. So, of course, when we got home, it was on. And the Sugar Plum Fairy dance came on. my 11-year-old at the time grabs my 5-year-old, well, how old is she? She was 4, and like tries to do this ballet move, like right in the moment. They were in the moment. And I was like, I was overcome by this simple feeling, but so powerful of joy. I'm like, the mess. I'm like, but it was just so random and just so, they just had to express something. And I was like, okay. Because a moment like that would have been interrupted by some kind of craziness, and so it would have been put down. And because we were away from that environment, it flourished.
Yeah.
And I love what Mary says here. Yeah, I did. We seized that moment. And I will never forget just how it felt. And I'm like, I want more of this.
Yeah.
I want more of this feeling. Where we're going to go with it. And so it started my journey. That was my permission story to start healing and not just surviving anymore.
Yeah.
As simple as that. I mean, and I will forever thank my oldest. This is his sign name, Kellis. I will forever thank him for that. And well, maybe he's listening tonight because he doesn't know. That's just my little thing. But
oh, that's amazing.
I need to tell him. Gosh, sorry, I have to write this down. I really need to tell him about this because he'll remember it, and I have to let him know that this was this opening door to find joy. So sorry. Thanks for indulging me for a minute. Sorry. Thank you.
No, I love that. I love that. But that's what we have to do. We have to lean into the joy. We have to lean into love. We have to lean into happiness. We have to dare. We have to dare to be okay. Like, how crazy is that? It's true. We're not used to it. So to be able to like be free and to be unabashedly whole, like that's incredible. It's amazing. We should all be doing that for ourselves.
Yes, agreed. So as our time is kind of winding down here, Cecilia, what would you like to leave with our audience tonight?
I always say this, and it still holds true. You know, when I first started doing this, I thought of it and I thought that is something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. But you are the light after the dark and the love that you seek.
Ooh, wow. Say it again.
You are the light after the dark and the love that you seek. It's all in you.
Oh, now I'm thinking about Dorothy. You know, she had the power. She had the power within her the whole time, right? Aren't these simple things, but aren't these stories always trying to weave us back to these truths?
They are.
It's around us all the time. We just have to pay attention to it and not
1000%.
not overseek. Just be with it. It's right there. You have an answer. The answers are here. If you can silence off that shame shadow and just listen to something else. I mean, how great is that shame shadow? I mean, how great that's been working out for you? Not so much. So why not just try the other? As simple as it is. Try it out.
How hard can it be? How bad can it be?
Yeah.
Try the good stuff.
You're not happy anyway, so what you got to lose? You know, just try it.
That's so true. Hello, beautiful women. Hello, Darcy and Mary and Sandra and Cecile and everybody. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. You're all incredible and love you all.
Awesome.
And Sandra, hello.
Thank you, everybody. So we have 2 gifts tonight, too. And one of them, I got to make sure that I don't mess up. Okay, it's just one. Okay, see, I have to check on this. Okay, so for those that have been here this evening, this book is going to go to you. I don't usually do these during the conference, but I know someone here needs this book. And so the live people who are here who don't have it, if you want to type in the comments, Cecilia, or if you want to type in the comments, book, go for it. And when I see it pop up there, then it's going to be yours. It is going to be yours. Because we want to have a little bit of this, joy just to kind of shine out there for everybody. So thank you, everyone, for coming. Darcy, you're so great. She's like, oh, look at our lights. I think yours is steady. Mine's probably like this flashing strobe, like,
I like strobe lights.
Okay.
Oh, hi,
All
Daisy.
right.
Hi, son. How are you?
Okay. Sundaysy, you've got it. This is yours. Yep. For me, I see that was the first one. Now I got to write this down because I'm going to mess it up. All right. Sun Daisy. I love your name.
Isn't
my
it?
goodness.
She's such a beautiful, beautiful woman. I love her. We just met the other day. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you.
Awesome. Okay, this is for you, and we will get it shipped out. So I'll make a connection with you, and all of the book shippings goes out in May. So May the 1st. There you are. Thank you so much, Sun Daisy, for being here. Everybody, Darcy says I've already been blessed with Cecilia's book.
Aww.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Sun, this was just for you. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody.
You know what, April? I'll give away another one. So if you want to pick somebody, I'm happy to do that. I will send it to them myself.
Okay. Who do we want else? Who else wants a book?
You pick.
If I can even talk. If I can pick. Okay. All right. I'll have to see. Cecile, do you have a book? Do you have one? I know that you have a lot of light. We'll see.
I don't think she does.
I don't think she does. Okay, I'm going to give it to you.
Amazing.
Where did I put my pen?
It's okay. You'll remember. You'll remember. That's awesome. I will take care of that. That's all good.
Awesome. Okay, she's all right. This is awesome. We love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, such a part of it. Thank you. We will hear again tomorrow. We have another evening, and we'll be with Miss Lori Jean Jones. So please jump in again tomorrow, 7:30, same time, same place. And remember that this healing, you're not alone. It has light. And like Cecilia said, basically you have it within you. Trust it and go for it.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.